All right, I'm the flatratemaster, and we're going to talk about how to fix the communication issues in your shop. I don't think I've ever worked in a shop that didn't have communication issues. Most of the communication problems come from the front, and I don't know how it's so bad up there. It just really is horrible as far as most shops. The shop owner, service advisors, service managers, it's usually on them. I got a response the other day in a video I did that just was like, well, communication's a two-way street. It is. And when I'm the only one going up to the service writer to get information, they're not coming to me. That is a communication problem. And if they're not doing their job by communicating with the technician, how is it my fault as a technician that they're not doing their job? So we're going to talk about what really needs to be done in most shops to fix that issue. I'll use the old shop as an example. It was a large shop, lots of technicians, 2 service writers and 1 manager, all did service writing. 2 of them sat literally next to each other. So they could literally turn their head and go, hey. The manager was in an office with a door open. So all you had to do was go, hey, can I ask you a question? Incredibly almost no communication between them, like almost none. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what was going on. Nobody knew really what was going on with anybody else in that front office. You know, you'd be crazy how much they would promise without going, hey, I see you got this ticket approved because everybody had the same screen. I see you got this car approved for XYZ. Is that due today? Before they promised their car for XYZ Tech due today. I'm going over the problems, but let's talk about the solutions. Talking, Skype, Teams, texting, ask, communicate. It's literally that simple. All you got to do is look at a computer screen. Almost every service writer has everybody's tickets in the system on their screen as long as they click the right box. All you got to do is ask. Communication. You know, I'm not even talking to the technicians at this point. Keep in mind, I'm talking just between service writers. Y'all need to communicate way better than you do. I've never worked in a shop with multiple service writers that any of them really communicated that well. And it's funny because they talk for a living, which I don't understand. But it's real simple. Think about workload. When a technician is getting asked to do another job, look at their workload. It really helps if you actually put in, due dates in the computer system that I'm not going to get into, but that's another thing the shop did that was bad, is they wouldn't tell techs when a car was due. Everything was due today because they wanted every car done today no matter what, even though it wasn't due till Thursday. I'm actually not making that up. They did that. They refused to put in due dates except one anomaly that was like a week out or something like that. 99% of the time, the due date was not filled out, which should be filled out because everybody knows when it's going to be due. Service writer that's trying to sell something for that technician can look at the due date and go, oh, that's not due today. Let's see if I can get this one done. Oh, and then ask the technician. That's always the mind-blowing thing, is they will sell it, promise it before talking to the technician. And they want us to create miracles, and it doesn't work that way. Before you promise something for that day, you really need to talk to the technician that's performing the work, especially if you don't know his workload. A technician can probably give you a good estimation on when that car is going to be done based on what he's got right now. And I've told this story before, but I've had to literally go up there, multiple cars sold, pull together 3 service writers and go, okay, here's everything I've got. I can't get all that done. Which one of your cars is a priority? Literally lumping them all together. And I've gotten weird responses like, oh, you got all that work? Literally, the shop manager didn't know how much work was sold for one of his technicians, shop foreman. and he just sold a ticket for me. That was a problem. And that's the stuff that needs to be solved. And it's such an easy solution. It literally is an easy solution. The 3 people up there need to talk. Go, hey, you're off the phone. Can you, okay. Hey, you're, that ticket, is that due today? Putting information in the system, like due dates. But I digress. Communication between a service writer and a technician needs to be constant. Constant. Not enough to bug them, but enough to know their workload, where they are. You should know. And if not, if you have a shop foreman, he should know their workload. Like, I spent a lot of my time as a shop foreman walking around checking with technicians on where they were on jobs, whether they had enough work, when they were going to get stuff done, when they were going to be able to move to the next car, etc. I did a really, I think, good job communicating with my technicians on where they were on their work, figuring out where they were going to be, if I needed to give them more work or needed to get them more work, etc. I walked around and talked to people. Was it like every 5 minutes? No. Was it every couple hours? Not always, but I always try to walk around and check with everybody to make sure they were on track, there was no problems, and what their workload was. I did my best to communicate that. I did my best to make sure I knew where they were with everything. I was just a shop foreman. I had no control over what cars got shoved in front of other people. Not even getting into that fact that, sometimes cars got jockeyed around even though another service writer said they needed that. Again, most of the communication problems come from the front. And I don't know how it's so bad up there. It just really is horrible as far as most shops. You can't communicate. It's one thing when you got a massive service drive with 40 service writers and all that. But when you literally can turn your head and ask a question, you should know what's going on with their tickets. Obviously, if you only got one service writer, go talk to your techs where they're at, problem solved. If you've got multiple service writers, really make sure they communicate, because chances are that's where 99% of the problems come from, is not between them and the techs, it's each other. So if this video was helpful, as always, thanks for watching. I am the Flat Rate Master.